What's up, Freddie Baker? I
What's up,
saw you.
Freddie Baker? I saw you. Baker. I saw you. Baker. I saw you.
Shut up, computer. Stop back talking to me. Can everybody hear me okay tonight? Does it sound like I'm coming through pretty good? The computer's lagging and trying to be slow, so it's making everything difficult, but hopefully everybody can hear me right now. Just waiting to get a confirmation to see if y'all can hear me. All right. Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. So we got a pretty good show lined up for you tonight. Amanda's not going to be able to make it. She ended up with a migraine tonight, so it looks like it's just going to be me hanging out with you guys and talking about an investigation. Sunshine, good to see you. She said she has audio and video. Mr. Keith Blunt, good to see you, my man. One of our newest moderators is Keith Blunt. Sure appreciate you being here, Keith Blunt, helping us out with the other moderators. Lisa. Mr. Tim Wrestlers in the house, I can see. We got Silver Bullet in the house. And Nancy's in the house for sure. Lisa, I think I said Lisa. So it's good to see everybody tonight, guys. We're going to talk about, there's T-Bone. We're going to talk about an encounter here in just a little bit. That is a pretty familiar encounter. I did dig a little deep into it to try to find out a little more and to go beyond the story like I've been talking about, what we're going to try to do from now on, to try to see if there's something else to these stories that seem to be repeated over and over and over. And really, there's Aussie Alley. Good to see you. And they really don't have any more to offer. Thank you so very much for that. Hard to please guy. God bless you for that. We appreciate that very much. Thank you for that. So last night's Boots on the Ground, I would like to thank each and every one of y'all that was there supporting me, all of y'all that have watched it after. Just so you know, it has surpassed 13,000 views and has over 200 new subscribers in 1 hour and 30 minutes. And that is because of you guys. So thank you all so very much for all you do. Good to see you, Martin. I appreciate the support. Last night was a pretty wild investigation. We had the lightning in the sky. We had pretty much all the elements were together for a really good boots on the ground last night. We're trying to chase that down, Tim. My computer's so slow. Poor thing. I'm going to have to stop my chat. But, last night just seemed like we had everything that, all the elements to a really scary night, and it turned out that way. The lightning, I think, added to it. Thank you for that. No, wrong one. My computer, I tell you guys, this thing will drive you crazy. There it is. Tim Wrestler, thank you for that. God bless you for that. We appreciate that very much, and for all the moderating you do also. So yeah, last night was a very good boots on the ground. I enjoyed it. Does anybody have any questions about last night before we start the show and get into the main show? Still fighting allergies, still fighting the cold. Yeah, the lady bothered me too. I have no idea what the child thing was. When I heard that, I was ready to go. Absolutely was ready to go. We haven't blown up any of the photographs of the children yet. I have had a ton of photographs sent in to me of stuff that everybody has been capturing. There's some pretty wild photos that was caught last night on the live. One of them appears to be some kind of a demon-looking creature dancing with horns on. That really bothered me. I think we're going to do a show to where we're going to show a lot of what's been found in my boots on the grounds to show you all what we are capturing out there. We're finding a lot of evidence. So that is, yeah, that voice that's whenever I started working my way out of there, Remy, is whenever that voice started hitting. Mr. Herbert Blevins, good to see you. Glad you was able to join us tonight. So, let's see here. We got a lot of photos coming in. That's one of the things I was going to talk to you about. If you, I've had a lot of people asking me, oh, no problem, Gary. No problem at all. You can always rewatch it. I'm tired tonight. My allergies have got me. My nose is itching. My eyes are watering. My eyes are burning. And, of course, I'm not even stopped up all day until I go to do the show, and it's like whenever it decides to hit me, that's what's so annoying. But we'll get through it. So one way or another, we'll get through it. So a lot of y'all are probably wondering also, I said I had an announcement to make tonight, right? So I have decided that I'm going to bring the first guest to come down and experience what I experienced in the field. A lot of y'all have asked me to go out into the field with me, and I appreciate that a whole lot. There's a lot of things we have to take into consideration whenever we do that. It's the safety of everybody, making sure we can get people there and back safe. And of course, you can't guarantee safety. Safety is just something that you cannot guarantee anybody. It's just the way it is. But anyways, what I decided to do is give a person a shot at it, because a lot of people have been, asking what's out there, what are you finding? And I thought, what better way to do it than to bring somebody out there, do a live with them, let them be there, let them experience what's happening with me, and let you all hear their side of what they're hearing, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling. Is it remote? Is there houses around? Et cetera, et cetera. Is there a highway running through the middle of it? Or are we really out in the back in the middle of nowhere? And I think it would be a good thing to be able to do that. So that's one of the things that I'm working on, trying to get done. So y'all are probably biting your fingernails, right? You're wondering who it's going to be. So the person that I've decided, not just based on because she asked me to, but based on other reasons that I believe that can benefit not only abnormal investigations, but also wide open adventures, is going to be Sky. Sky is going to be the one that is going to be the first guest on abnormal investigations and wide open adventures. Very good guess. Yeah, you guessed it. Who guessed it? Somebody. Let me see if my computer will back up. I don't know if it will. Who guessed it? Shirley guessed it. Good guess, Shirley. So, yep, that's right. So Sky will be coming out. We'll get a date figured out, and she's going to be coming down. She's going to go. We're going to do some boots on the ground. She's going to get the real feel for it. Probably what we're going to do that night, it is probably going to be a rather long live. Probably going to take her to a few of the hot spots. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. And let her experience the different hot spots, what's going on at these places, and hopefully we can get her an experience, and of course, she gets to hang out with me all night, right? I mean, that's got to be worth it. Um, but no, she's going to get a shot at that, and I think what we're going to do is after we do the boots on the ground and everything, y'all will get to see that live. What we're going to do, I think, the next night is we are going. Yeah, those kids' voices were very scary, Mary, very scary. The next night, I think what we're going to do is we are going to do some filming for Wide Open Adventures, and we're going to do, I think, a nighttime catfishing with the bonfire and cookout, do some catfishing on the lake, and work on that channel also. And if everything works out and she's interested after she gets some boots on the ground out there and everything, then she may actually go from just being a guest to being a partner that will help me with the shows. So we'll have to see where that goes. Not making any promises on that, but she is going to be the one to come down and experience. You'd have to ask her for herself. I don't think she's in chat tonight. I think she probably fell asleep. Um, I think she had a long day today. So that's where we're at on the announcement. A lot of y'all have also asked me, what channels do you support right now, Mike? Because a bunch of people's asked me, what channels are you supporting? We want to support you. We don't want to not support you. We don't want to support somebody that does not support you. So the easiest way I know how to tell you all that, and it doesn't mean that's the only channels I support, but the channels I support is on my YouTube page under featured channels, and I've wrote on there channels that I support. Those are not necessarily the only channels I support, but they are the ones that I do support that's been on the show, that support me, and that are going to continue to support me and continue to be on the show. With that being said, does anybody have any questions tonight? Is there any questions tonight? And I'll pause before we jump into the investigation. Let me get me a drink of water while I watch for your questions. Martin, the weather's good. Yeah, no more severe weather as of right now. Aussie, we're not discussing her. Only that she's no longer with the show, and we are just moving forward to hopefully bigger and brighter things is what we're working on. Trying to just work on the channels. But I appreciate you asking. Thank you very much, and of course, we wish her well in her endeavors. I saw something somebody said. It was, let me see. Yeah, it would be nice to have somebody there to watch my back, that's for sure. Happy early birthday to Gary Silverbullet says. Mr. Herbert, you have been missed. Can you tell? Everybody's missed you. I've even missed having Herbert in here. I wondered where he'd went. Herbert is a big part of the family. He's always been here, been a big supporter. We appreciate Herbert a whole lot. All right, guys. So let's go ahead. Excuse my allergies. All right. So we're going to talk about a Bigfoot siege that actually happened in Oklahoma. Yeah, it was good to see Randy back last night. He stopped in for a little bit. I was glad to see him too. So they say this encounter we're going to talk about it started with a knock, is how they're saying that it happened, right? It started with a knock. Like many Sasquatch encounters, the Hanobi incident didn't begin with a full-blown showdown. It started small, strange, and with noises in the night, the kind of thing you could write off as the wind, an overly ambitious raccoon, possibly. Have you noticed a lot of these are encounters? They say that they start out with small noises or small things getting moved around, things that people, uh, hey, there's guy was just talking about you. Things that people, try to dismiss as being something else outside, right? How many times have you been in the house at night, laying in bed, and you hear something outside, like a clang or something move or something runs into something, and you're like, probably the dog, or probably just the wind, and you just write it off, right? Because deep down, you really don't want it to be anything anyways. You're just like, if I don't pay attention to it, maybe it will just go away. So I think a lot of us do that. I I know I probably have, because I've heard things that I've tried to you know dismiss as things that I know that's probably not. So some of the things I was thinking about when I was looking into this is, everybody talks about the subtle things that happen, how subtle it is. I'm a knower. I'm not just an investigator. I'm a knower. I grew up with the cryptids. My mom and her family grew up with these things. I grew up around them my whole life. So whenever you talk about the little things, some of the things I've wondered when we talk about the little things is it because they're trying to be quiet? Is it because they're trying to be, you know, a good neighbor or a good host, that they're not trying to bother you? And I don't think that's it. I think there is more of a sinister thing that's going on that a lot of people are not really thinking about. So whenever you hear the little things that start happening and you're writing them off, and I'm going to put this out there, I'm going to put it as a question. What if they're not just doing the little things to try to scare you, or bumps in the night? What if they're actually trying to figure out your mistakes? Do you lock the door at a certain time? Do you leave the window opened at a certain time? How long do the kids stay outside and play? Where do the kids play? Do they ever go outside of the yard into the tall grass? Do they ever, do you ever send them out to the building to check the chickens late at night? Are they trying to get your routines down, and it's more, nefarious what they're doing? And they're trying to learn your routines and maybe even mimic your sounds, how you call your children. You know, they're trying to, well, they're doing what they have, in my opinion, they're doing what they come from, the lineage they come from, the watchers. They are watching. And, you know, there's the old saying, observe and report. And it makes you wonder, are they observing you? What are they observing? Why are they watching you? I mean, we know kids go missing all the time. That's no, I mean, I don't even think that's debatable anymore. I think that we all know that with the 411 investigations that are out there, with the unknown animal attacks, with everything that we know to be true. I mean, we know children are going missing, especially with what has dropped lately in the news. We know that evil is at work, and even one of those people, and we'll probably do a Patreon on that, but even one of those people in the drop said they had witnessed this individual shapeshift into a reptilian looking creature. So I believe the reason they're doing this is because, I agree, Herb, I have done that before many times, is I think that the reason they're doing this is because they're learning your routine. They're not doing little things outside of your home to where people's like, oh, that's so cute. They come up and they, They take the apple or they try to communicate with me. What if they're actually just trying to learn your routine? Uh, but they said later on, then came the knocks, the heavy, deliberate pounding on the cabin walls, loud enough to even wake the family on the inside. So the family would peer out the window, flashlight shining through the windows, scanning the blackness, and they're looking everywhere. But all they ever saw were the trees and the shadows. Now, I know a lot of times down at my granny's when this stuff would happen, they were beating on the house, they were shaking the doors, whatever they were doing. They were outside doing their howls, their whistles, whatever they were doing. We would shine flashlights outside all the time. Did you ever see them? Hardly ever. The dogs would be barking at the bushes, and you would wonder, what is the dog barking at? You would never see what was in the bushes, but you would know that that dog was upset, that dog was afraid, that dog was aggressive, and you could tell by watching that dog was not happy. And you always know your dog's bark, right? You know if your dog's barking at something or if he's really serious. Um, I just I think that they're not there just to make small noises and to try to mess with you. Whenever they probably find out that say you're living in the country and you're not making the mistakes that everybody else makes. Let's say sundown, 6:30. Say the sun sets at 6:30. You have what, total darkness an hour after sunset, so 7:30. So say everybody's in the house and you're very cautious. Hello, Michelle McGuire. Good to see you. And you do lock your windows. You do lock your doors. You do close your blinds. You don't leave food outside. And you're this person that is very, very cautious, right? But then they start getting more aggressive. And that seems to be the pattern that they show. They go from little things to not accessing the house, taking a child or anything, to getting more and more aggressive. Uh, you know, Sometimes I wonder, is this an attempt by them to make noises outside of the home to try to get you to go outside of the home to investigate? And if you think about it, and it's kind of scary to think about, but if they can cause you to go outside to investigate, they're not only taking you outside, but they're pulling you away from your wife and children, which I'm sure they see you as their protector, as the alpha male. They're going to see you as the defender of your home. When they pull you outside, the kids, the wife are left at the mercy of whatever, because how many times whenever the dad goes outside to check on something, what does the mom usually do? She opens the door and she says, "Hey, is everything okay out there? Is everything all right out there?" He doesn't answer. She leaves the door open. She looks for him. She's dealing with the kids that are afraid. She's now preoccupied. The door is not secured, and the house is open to the predator. And we have to remember, these things are not your regular animal. These things have a very high IQ, very high IQ. And they will use whatever they can to deceive you because they come from their father, the master of deception, right? That's what they're good at. So also on the banging on the house and stuff, you wonder, are they doing that to try to scare you also? And again, I don't believe they're banging on the house to try to scare you. I think that's part of it, and I think that's part of the game. But I think a lot of times the reason that they're banging on the house is they're checking the structural integrity of your home. They're testing your windows. They're testing your doors. They're testing the side of your house. If they're coming up and they're hitting your door really hard, say you live in an old house that's got the old wooden door frames, and say that house has been there for I don't know, say 100 years. The rain and weather and everything has weakened that wood around. If something big hits it, it breaks that wood. Boom, it's got entry to your house, right? If you got old windows, a lot of houses still have the old windows that have the half moon lock. It spins at the top, right? That wood gets old. You most of the time have two Phillips screws that hold those on. So whenever that happens, what happens whenever that finally gives way, right, and it falls down? What happens then? It has access to your window. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to come right inside of your house. I don't believe, but I do believe that they know at that point that they have access to your home. Why would they want access to your home? Well, you go look at some of the other cases. Look at how many children go missing out of their beds at night. There was a case in Puerto Rico. Little girl's laying in the bed. The parents hear something weird outside. They dismiss it. They continue having their drink. They go to bed. The next morning, they wake up. The window's open. The child is missing. There's lizard-like footprints outside, but they were like human-sized, bipedal. The child is carried off into the woods, and the child to this day has not been found. And I don't believe these creatures are just coming up to the house and then randomly finding a window that's not secured. I believe that they could possibly do that, but I think that whenever they do that, they have already been there. They have already cased your house. They have already stalked you. And they probably know a lot more about you than what you think. And that's the scary part. I do think, however, a part of them doing that is to invoke fear. I believe that they do that because they do enjoy scaring you. I believe that that is part of their game. And also, I believe they do that because, see how I can say this without getting in trouble. They like the taste of you better whenever you're afraid. It gives the meat that taste that they crave. That's all part, I believe, of the hunt for them. I think that's why a lot of people that have encounters out in the woods, it doesn't just happen and quit. The reason they're stalked, or Palmyra, Maine, that family that went through a siege in their house, the one that happened up in the mountains, I can't think of the name of it right offhand, but then the one we're talking about here in Oklahoma also, they don't just attack. That's exactly it, Herbert. That's exactly it. They do it because they're trying to build that taste. We all know what causes that taste. So that's just my theory on why they do it. I think they really enjoy that. Actually, Jennifer, they do, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Actually, you're going to find out that this family did fight back. There's been a lot of families that have fought back. Jennifer, my family fought back. We shot at them several times. I shot one. I witnessed it bleeding. Didn't stop them. The best you could ever hope for was to, if you got lucky, you got close, or maybe hit one or something like that. Then you could hope for a few days of peace. You might have 2 or 3 nights that it didn't come up, or if it did come up, it wasn't aggressive. It didn't make itself known, but it never stopped it completely. They would always return. That was always the thing, is it would always come back. A lot of people also that go through these, they believe that a lot of it is pranks. They think that it is a kid or a child in the neighborhood, or just doing a prank. And a lot of it is dismissed on pranks. But then this family started noticing footsteps outside, and not just regular footsteps at night. They started noticing heavy and deliberate footsteps crunching through the underbrush. Rocks the size of grapefruit started hitting the cabin's walls loud enough to make the windows rattle. And then that's when they noticed, when they looked out the window, they had glowing eyes. How many times have we heard about the glowing eyes? Now, I wrote these notes last night before last night's Boots on the Ground, so we might have to make a little bit of a change on these, but I've never experienced rock throwing to the extent that this family said that they were having the rocks thrown at their cabin, that the rocks were impacting their cabin so forcefully, their windows were rattling, the walls were rattling, they thought the rock was going to come through. I never witnessed that, and I don't know if Mom and them ever witnessed anything like that either. But last night, while I was boots on the ground, that was the heaviest rock throwing I had ever encountered. Those rocks were landing in that water almost every, 10, 15 seconds. That's the first time I've ever witnessed that much rocks been thrown. Yes, Martin, there was a ton of rocks thrown last night, and I have never witnessed that. That is the first time I've ever witnessed that amount of rocks being thrown at me or around me. Now, we've had a few thrown or, something like that, but never the barrage of rocks that happened last night. Hello, Donna. Good to see you. Let me grab a drink real quick, guys. So the family, they described seeing pairs of glowing eyes just beyond the tree line. These eyes were, of course, they were watching them. The eyes were too high off the ground to belong to any known animal. Whatever was out there, it wasn't small, and it wasn't afraid to get close. So, you know, when they start getting closer, also, I think we have to be careful because if they're not keeping the distance, then they're, in my opinion, they're an aggressive bunch. They're probably looking to do harm, or they're looking to take somebody. Yes, what was it? Sky said, you think the mamas are having babies this time of year, maybe a little more territorial. I think that's a really good theory. You know, if I think about it, um, there was a lot more eye shine last night than normal. At one point, somebody had even made the comment that there was a lot more eye shine than normal. That I was surrounded by eye shine. I noticed I was surrounded by eye shine. It almost seemed like they were fine with me being on one side of the bridge. They did not want me on the other side of the bridge, and I didn't feel comfortable going to the other side of the bridge. That's why I didn't go to the other side of the bridge. I just, I think, Sky, that's a very good theory. I think that if they are having babies right now, that they would be super territorial. And they may be trying to show their young ones, what we are. But yeah, I agree. They could be a learning lesson for them too this time of year. I mean, they could be saying, okay, these are the humans. It's how close you can get to them. Some of them carry flashlights. Some of them go out there and howl like a like a werewolf. And some of them act crazy. They walk around out here with lights strapped all over them. And we don't know really what they're doing, but they mimic us, and because we don't know exactly what they're saying. All we're doing is mimicking noises we hear. I mean, there's no telling what we're walking around saying that they're saying. So maybe that's why we hear the laugh sometimes, because we're walking around. Maybe a youngster yells at his mom and it says, "Hey, mom, I pooped on myself," and then we're walking around out in the field yelling, these whoops, and really all we're doing is walking around with a bunch of lights on us yelling, "I pooped on myself," So if you don't know what they're saying, it's kind of like you see, one of those birds in the bush. You just walk around and you're like, caw, 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 You don't know what you're saying, so you don't know what you're inviting. Uh, I believe, though, when they are watching you, they are studying you, they are trying to figure you out and get a routine. That's why routines are a bad thing. I think routines are something that everybody should try to avoid. I was taught, not to not to have routines because of the job I was in and everything. You don't want to have a routine. So, an ordeal of survival. After a few nights of this, fear turned into action. And this is a part I think it was Jennifer was talking about the families fighting back. The family decided to arm themselves with rifles and shotguns, setting up a defensive perimeter around their cabin. Okay, so they've decided now they're going to fight these creatures. And a lot of families have done that. So they fortified their windows, they locked their doors, and they waited. But the creatures outside seemed to know what they were doing. There is that high intelligence that I talk about. Animal behavior does not study you to the point to where they recognize you're fortifying your home. You can set traps for any animal and you put the right bait out, they'll come up to the house. These things, they know better. So they fortified their windows, locked their doors, and waited, but the creatures outside seemed to know what they were doing. The knocking became more frequent, the rock throwing more intense, and the creatures, yes, the creatures, because by now it was clear there was more than one, began moving closer and became more violent. So it seems it seems almost like they don't like to be told no. In a lot of these cases that we look at, you've had farmers that's had them stealing their feed, going into their barn. So what's the farmer do? He goes and puts a lock on the barn. He puts the lock on the barn. That causes the creature to become more aggressive. It tears the lock off. The lock goes from the lock getting torn off to the creature shoot, or the farmer shoots at it. The creature retaliates. It eats a horse, and then it just seems like it just keeps going to the next level. They said there was more than one. We did see that at my granny's house. We would hear more than one at night whistling, walking around the house. They would beat on different parts of the house at different times. And again, I think they're testing the structural integrity of the house, but I don't believe that's the only reason they're doing it. I believe it is the fear factor and the wood knocks that they do out that we witness in the woods sometimes that we believe are communication. D.A. Roberts, he believes that they may be able to do that with a mouth pop. It may not all be wood knocks. Some of it could be mouth pops, which I think is a very good theory. But either way, if they're hitting on the house, are they also communicating with each other somewhat like a Morse code by hitting on the house, right? I don't see why they wouldn't do that if they're doing it in the woods. Why not do it at your house, right? So the family describes seeing multiple figures, tall and broad shouldered, darting between the trees. They were fast, faster than a human could ever be. At one point, the creature made the way onto the roof, their weight causing the structure to groan. Imagine sitting in your living room. You hear something on the roof of your house. I've been there. I've heard that at Granny's house. I've heard them on the roof, right? They got on her house one night and they were leaning over the sides of the house, knocking on the door and then going back up on the house from the windows. So I can tell you that is terrifying. That's not something that I would ever want to have to go through again. It was not fun times. That's what people don't understand is it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all. It was pretty terrifying actually. But it wasn't just a cabin that came under attack. The family found their fences tore down, tools moved or thrown into the woods. Deep footprints were left in the soft earth around their property. These prints weren't just large, they were enormous. One print measured 26 inches, with a stride over 6 foot. Imagine the creature that's that. We was pretty blessed at Granny's house. They really never bothered anything outside that I know of growing up. I don't know of them to ever tear up anything or to cause any damage or anything like that. They would just make their noises. So we never really, I don't think, or I didn't. I don't know if my mom and them did growing up, but I never witnessed really any structural damage or them stealing anything. Let me check real quick. Did you ever have any of that, Mom? She said no, they just like to watch them. So this sounds like more of an aggressive clan that these people were dealing with. So, what does the evidence say? And this is what Herbert, I think, likes too. Herbert, I'm going to present my case to you. Herbert's a retired judge. We'll see how good I do. Herbert will grade my work tonight. I'm nervous though. So now this is where the things get really interesting. The Hanobi incident didn't fade into the family folklore. It drew attention. Researchers, Sasquatch enthusiasts, and skeptics alike descended on the property to investigate. And what they found was actually pretty compelling. The footprints were meticulously measured and documented. They showed clear signs of toes and depth that suggested immense weight. Hair samples were reportedly found, though testing came back inconclusive. Imagine that. Not human, but not easily identifiable as any known animal. Some came back as being tainted, showing female DNA. There we go. There is the Melba Ketchum, Scott Carpenter testing. You have the female, but you have the unknown father. Audio recordings captured guttural growls and howls that did not match any known wildlife in the area or that was recorded in any of the databanks. And then there were the eyewitness accounts, not just from the family, but from the neighbors and hunters in the surrounding area. They spoke of hearing the same eerie howls, seeing large, shadowy figures moving through the trees. One hunter claimed he had watched a creature disappear into the woods, moving faster than anything he had ever seen. Skeptics, of course, have their theories. Some would argue that footprints were faked, the sounds exaggerated, the family spooked by nothing more than their own imagination. But when you add up the sheer volume of evidence, I believe, and the sheer volume of witnesses, dismissing it as a hoax, it almost feels like a stretch to me when you have that many witnesses to an encounter. So some of the theories and questions would be the family's background. The family was living in a rural area and had been experiencing strange occurrences for some time before the actual siege. There again, we have the small warning signs before the actual siege. I believe that again is where they're coming up and they're checking the house. They're trying to figure out your routine, what you do, any weaknesses. What are your perimeter weaknesses? You know, what mistakes do you make? Where are your kids? Right? You remember the old commercial back in the old days? Where are your kids? You know where your kids are at tonight? Unusual noises. They heard strange sounds around the property, like footsteps and rocks hitting the house. They started to miss food. As I mentioned earlier, they noticed that deer meat was being taken from their outside freezer. Unsettling feelings. The family felt like they were being watched or stalked, creating a tense atmosphere that happens all the time in these encounters. Footprints and tracks found large, unidentifiable footprints around the property, which they had not seen before and were larger than any man and also heavier than any man could be. And this is what I also find pretty interesting. And we've been finding this on our Boots on the Ground. Actually, we found this our last Boots on the Ground I spoke with the moderators a little bit about this, and I blamed it on the possible static electricity in the air, which was the orange balls we saw floating in the woods. We know there was a lot of electricity in the woods that night. We had the lightning, we had everything, and I kind of dismissed it as that, but it may not have been that. It could absolutely be orbs. Gary, yes, I do believe they do want that, and I believe that is one of the reasons that women bring a higher encounter rate than what men do. So they were seeing strange lights. Some family members even claimed to see unusual lights or glows in the woods near their home. So see, these lights that we're seeing, even I think what we're doing, as many people as see these, I believe, Herbert, I hope you would agree with me, that this lays a foundation at the very minimal of reasonable suspicion to believe that this is happening. Local reactions. The incident reportedly caused a stir in the local community, with some residents sharing their own strange experiences. So whenever they came out and they started talking, they start causing other people to come out with their stories. That usually happens a lot whenever people do that, because they start feeling more sense of security, saying, oh, well, Bill's came out with it, so I can come out with it. It always takes, it takes that first person to start the trend, right? So, excuse me. This is where I go beyond the story. This is my actual investigation, to where I try to take you guys beyond the story, to where I try to find new things. Oh, thank you, Herbert. To build on the story, to build on the case, to go further, because a lot of these stories that you look at online, guys, and you go watch them, it doesn't matter who you watch it from. It's the same story told by the different person. It might have different music, different lights, different background, different voice, but it's the same thing, right? So I'm going to try to take you all a little bit beyond right now what y'all have heard about this case. So the situation, it escalated when the animals tried to get into the home. At one point, the father, he went outside and confronted the animal. This is what is not told in the stories. He got a good look at one, and he took a shot at it and claimed that it was Bigfoot running back into the woods. He also believed that he struck it in the head. So another example of the respect, to me, you got this creature that's trying to break into your home, right? And he says, I seen it. I fired at it. I believe I hit it in the head. It retreated to the woods. So to me, that's an example that these creatures respect and fear modern weapons. This, I believe, is the debate with all of the other research and known things that we know about these things. If they are not these, as some people want to really push, these disembodied demonic Nephilim demons, right? Demons do not fear modern weapons. Demons have no reason to fear modern weapons. Demons have no reason to flee from us unless we invoke the name Jesus Christ upon them. So these animals are exhibiting a physical flesh and blood being of high intelligence that respects human weapons, modern weapons. Um, it was coming onto the porch. It was messing with the windows. It was wiggling the doorknobs as if it wanted to get into the home, and even stealing deer meat out of the freezer that was kept outside in an open building. Again, guys, I believe that goes and makes a great foundation for an argument that these are not just demons, that these are flesh and blood entities. And again, if they're demons, they have no need to steal your meat. They're eating just like we are. They're eating because they need the energy. They're eating, right? So, moving on. Uh, Don Kahootie thinks I'm nuts. I guess, is that what you mean, Don? You think I'm nuts? Well, if you think I'm nuts, then you must think a lot of investigators are nuts, because what I'm going over is actually a documented case. It's 1855 and has been documented throughout history. So unless you can write the book better, I don't know. Thank you, Martin. Do what? Okay. Yeah, it's probably just one of the clowns, anyways. It's okay. So the situation escalated, and the animals tried to get into the home. At one point, the father went outside, and we know that he shot at it, and they respected the modern firearms. Also, we know that they're stealing food. We know that creatures do not have a need for food or the fear of a weapon if you're a a demon. Now, do I believe they come from the demons? Yeah, I believe they absolutely carry the lineage and the DNA. I'm not going to get into all that. Maybe we can have Scott back, or Travis back on sometime, and we can go deeper into that. I think that is what we need to do, because there's a lot more information there to be had. Thank you very much for that, Sky. I'm just making a few people a little bit nervous. Whenever you put the truth out there, people get nervous. The family could hear chattering and screaming, and stated it sounded like a man screaming, but it was a little off. Now, how many times have we said on our investigations, and I believe that's why a lot of people confuse prowlers with actual cryptid encounters. How many times have we been boots on the ground to where we hear things and we say, and I've done it too, guys. I've said it. You've heard me on the live say it. I'll say, man, that's somebody. But then you hear it and you listen to it and you're like, that's not somebody. And a perfect example of that is the night that Kaylee went on the boots on the ground with me. Whenever we heard that thing yell back at her and laugh, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, that's not a, it's not a human. That wasn't a monster. You know, that was a monster. It sounded really weird. But Kaylee was like, that was somebody. And she related that to somebody because that's what she felt it was. Now, whenever we went and got in the vehicle and I pushed a little bit harder and tried to get her to whistle again, and she was looking out the window where she had her really bad encounters where she saw it actually running, and she said it appeared not to have a head. And then we were both very, we both agreed at that point that it was not a human. We knew at that time we was dealing with something that was, I even hate saying cryptid, because I don't believe these things are cryptid. I believe that they are supernatural, and that might be what I do here is start calling them supernatural. So the family could hear the chattering, and chattering is also something that we hear a lot. It's that chatter, right? The samurai chatter that so many people talk about. You know, we had just so many times we've heard that chatter. We can't understand it. We can't hear it, but you can tell that it sounds like, you know, a bunch of old men having a conversation. Now, the father said that the one he did fire at, he found blood the next morning and he followed it into the woods. Demons don't bleed. Demons don't eat. Demons do not flee from guns. Demons do not need water. Demons do not need food, water, shelter. These things have a lineage that connects them to the demons, but they are flesh and blood. Now, Scott Carpenter, and I wish this is where I could have Sky on here. Sky had I'm not sure the extent of the relationship, but she knew him personally and they had conversations. And Scott Carpenter, you know, he without a doubt knew that these Bigfoot, these Sasquatch, hairy men, whatever you want to call them, that they were in fact Nephilim, or as I say sometimes, Eliod, descendants of the Nephilim, that's what these creatures were. Herbert will know exactly where I'm going to come from with this. Herbert knows that whenever I was an investigator, the main thing that they push on us in CLEAT, which is the Council of Law Enforcement Education and Training, is what you have to be able to work in the capacity that I did. they teach you that we are taught to look at tangible evidence, right? Tangible evidence is what we look for. And there is so much tangible evidence in a lot of these cases. Um, for instance, DNA, right? We have to, in my opinion, we have to agree with the DNA findings, because if we don't, then I think we're being very, very hypocritical, and we're being blinded from the truth, but really not even blinded from the truth. We're almost just we're being stupid on purpose, because DNA is so accurate that we put people to death on death row. DNA in a court to where lethal injection or the death penalty is to be implemented, DNA has been a major deciding factor in a lot of those cases. So if we ignore the facts like Sky just said, and we ignore the DNA, then we're just being willfully stupid, right? It's not even willfully ignorant. It would be willfully stupid. So I think it's important to look at the facts. Travis's dad, Scott, Melba Ketchum, they pushed this so deep and went so far with it that the answer was right there. Now, Travis's dad was a very intelligent man, and he spoke over my head a lot of times. I would have to go and try to figure out, okay, what is the nucleus? What does that mean? Because I'm not a scientist. I didn't know a lot about science. But when you start looking into it and you start looking at quantum physics and you start looking at parallel universes, it all starts making sense. And what I think is amazing about it is not only does it make sense, but it leads you right back to the Bible, right? And what did Jesus say? In the end days, it will be like the days of Noah. What was the days of Noah, guys? Monsters were coming from the sky, coming out of the earth. There was Nephilim, there was bestiality, there was inbreeding, there was the corruption of the blood, there was the fight for the seed. They were trying to stop the birth of Christ. They were trying to, they were doing all this to try to stop it. And you look at the fallen angels in the sky, and a lot of people argue that the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all those, that these are celestial bodies that housed the watchers. That was their bodies. And why do they say that those are bodies? Because science has said in order to be a body, you must have a metabolism. Those planets are proven to have a metabolism. So if those have metabolisms and those are celestial bodies, and these fallen left those bodies to come to Earth, well, then they would have had a body to enter to come here, right? Kind of like our reality right now to us is real, but if you look at a video game, that's an alternate reality. They placed themselves into that game. So how do they place themselves into that game, into our reality when you come from the other side of the veil? When you come from the supernatural side of the veil, how did they place themselves in our reality? To me, it's simple. They had an avatar. They had to have an avatar. They had to have a body to come into to be able to do it. What was the avatar then? Well, scientists have said the pyramids, they have proven that they do conduct energy. When they conduct energy and they done tests on it, they found out that the pyramids are not only aligned with the stars, which would have been impossible for them to do without a higher superiority helping them. They had their own, they were able to produce their own energy, which allowed them to have a metabolism, which in theory would have caused a fallen angel to come to Earth to be able to materialize, manifest itself. So if all that happened back then, what's going to be the avatar for the end of the world? What are these creatures going to come to? AI, robots, we're already building the avatar for them to come back and do what they did again, right? Think about that, guys. Let that sink in a little bit. I could go so deep into that. We're not going to go into that tonight. Y'all got to hear a little bit of my theories tonight, what I've been working on. Sharon, be safe. It looks like Sharon's having some storms going on over there. But I'm not going to take y'all down that road tonight. I could go way down that road. I wanted to share that with you, though. Anybody have any questions about tonight before we start wrapping it up here? Thank you, Sky. I appreciate that. I'll try to take any questions I can get, or try to answer any questions that y'all may have, too. Thank you very much, Martin. I appreciate that. Sky, you're going to have to come on the show to ask your questions, because I know you have probably a lot of questions. But do you have a question for me, Sky? I will do my best to answer that for you. If you need an answer to one that's not going to allow you to sleep, I will do the best I can to answer that for you tonight. We're taking our channels to another level, guys. We're going to start working with people, having people come on our shows. I got something I'm working on for y'all right now, and I don't know exactly. I don't want to say a lot right now about it, but the 27th, we got a really big creator we're going to be working with that may be coming on, and we got a lot of others hanging out with us here too. Hey, Grant, good to see you. Go back and check it out, man. Watch it from the first. Let me know what you think. Sky's going to get shy on us now. She's not going to ask me her question. But yeah, we're gonna go a lot of different ways, guys. We got more equipment coming in. We're going to be testing in the field. I've got some theories I want to try out. Maybe we can get Mom to come on the show and talk a little bit about grannies. I don't know. What do you think, Mom? Huh? She says she can't hear me. So I hope y'all enjoyed that tonight, guys. I'm working on a lot bigger investigation we're going to be doing Wednesday. Sky will be joining us on that one. Hopefully Amanda will be better. We're going to be talking about another Oklahoma family that unfortunately ended very bad with some very wild, super just extenuating circumstances. Herbert, I know you're really going to like this one. It really makes you think. It really does. Really, really does. And it's been one that I've heard a lot of times, and I found a lot of information on it I haven't even heard people talk about. So we're going to go. That's probably going to be a really long show because I found a lot of information on it, and I really want to explore that. I know Sky and Amanda will have a lot of questions or probably a lot of input for that show. It should be really, really good. But guys, it looks like nobody has any questions tonight. So I appreciate all of y'all being here. Okay, I thought she had her question. But I appreciate all y'all being here tonight, guys. I appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. I'm going to be out boots on the ground Monday coming up. This Monday coming up, we're going to be back out boots on the ground. New location. It's going to be somewhere, guys, that I have not taken y'all before, so you're going to enjoy that. And there's supposed to be a witch at this location out of all things. She's called the Witch of the Water. She's supposed to live under the water. So we're going to go see if we can find the witch. Tuesday night. We're not doing it Monday night. Tuesday night, guys, we will be boots on the ground. We're going to be at the witch's place, and we're going to see if we can find a witch, guys. They say this place is supposed to be haunted as hell, so we're going to go see what we can find. The way things have been going for me, we're probably going to find something. Thank you for being here, Keith. Thank you, man, for being here, assisting all the moderators. We got the best moderators out there. As always, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. We'll see you on the next one. Good night, and I love you guys.